Now
Okay, now you're ready.
we're calling the meeting to order. The minutes have been approved.
Yep.
Okay.
Saturday, I was notified early afternoon about the traffic jam. A few of my guys told me that it was
Afternoon?
early afternoon. It had been going for a while, but they had it handled, so there was no reason to, I mean, what can you do?
Well, I
Right?
called the mayor at 9:30
Mhm.
because I was headed to Costco
Yeah.
and I saw this solid line, and I called Dave and I said, no, we got an issue.
Was Costco empty?
No. You would think so. Because they were all here, and he said, oh, you've seen 4th of July. I said, no, this is not 4th of
No, it
July.
was not 4th of July, from my understanding.
No.
I did come up and take a look. We did a debrief, with, mayor, some department heads, last week on, I want to say Thursday, and, went over some different options for the upcoming events next year. Yeah, it was not comparable to the 4th of July, excuse me, it was not comparable to the event. It was just, it was one of those things, the first year they had it here, and let me.
The third year.
Yeah, but the first year we had it here. Let me add too, that we've had no problems with this,
Here's what happened, at least that's what Marie, who's on the, rodeo board, is
Yeah.
they had 40 people scheduled to park cars,
Yes, they advised me.
and one showed up.
2.
Yeah, she told me one, I had heard 3. The bottom line is it wasn't the traffic that was the problem was parking them.
Yep, so they,
And so they're gonna work with it because they want the Renaissance Fair to stay here. They
Yeah.
had 13,000 people through the gate on Saturday.
mhm.
Last year, they had 6,000
Total, or Saturday?
Saturday.
Yeah, so, it was kind of took everybody by surprise because the first year was, I believe, kind of a testing the water. I mean, it was busy.
Sure.
It was busy. It was kind of a testing the water type of event. I did hire extra personnel for it, 2 guys, and everything was incredibly smooth. Like I said, with the group that it brings itself, there's no issues.
Yeah, the group.
Yeah, good people. Don't worry, it's fine.
I just was like trying to turn, and I was waiting for these tourists to cross. He stopped in the middle of the road, turned around and took a selfie or a picture of his friend in front of the Pollard. I'm like,
Julie on the horn.
I was like, I forgot how.
It's summer.
It's summer. It's
yeah.
summer.
So, the first year was kind of testing the waters thing for them, and like I said, no issues. I had a couple of extra personnel. Second year, I think the weather put quite a damper on their event.
Was it
So-
cold and rainy?
If I remember correctly,
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's what one of my sergeants told me. I was here for it.
Right.
And then the third year, which was,
This year.
yep, was great in the sense that it brought a lot of people, difficult in the sense of traffic jams, stuff like that. So we have the mayor, the commissioner, the Red Lodge commissioner was here, the sheriff was here, the undersheriff was here, Marie, Heather was here, the captain from the Montana Highway Patrol here, and everybody went over options about how we can better remedy this situation. It was difficult to deal with, but like not a bad situation. Like,
I was reminded that if you live in a big city and you go to a baseball game, football game,
yeah.
that's the kind of traffic one would expect.
Yeah,
That, for us,
where I grew up, that was everyday traffic.
yeah, that too. Obviously grew up somewhere near me,
Yeah. Yes.
So it was pointed out that we're not used to that at all, nor do we
No.
want to become used to it,
Right.
you know.
But it was due to the parking, not the
It
traffic.
was due to the parking, not the influx. It was the problem was not enough people parking.
There was a lot of people that arrived early as well. Right.
I was at 9:30, it opened at 10, and that's when the solid line of cars were coming in,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
So, I was more concerned with the fire department getting out when needed.
That was my biggest concern that I relayed to the mayor's debrief that he did last week was number one, I want everybody to have a good time, I want everybody to have fun.
Yeah.
Traffic jams are traffic jams, and it does happen, it's just the way it is. My paramount number one priority is the ability to get emergency apparatus in and out of that area when large-scale events like that are happening. We could have made it work just with a few radio transmissions, having them hold all traffic while we take a different lane up. you know, go into the oncoming lane to get up there as quickly as possible. But, I mean, like,
Yeah, that was very difficult
right,
to
yeah.
get up Highway 78.
Right, yeah, but like a more streamlined process is what we're discussing next year. But that's issue number one that will be addressed. And then, like I said, we want to.
Well, we've got the fourth coming too. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of traffic. I mean, it doesn't do it to that extent, but it does bottleneck there.
Yeah, the fourth brings people as far away as New York here. That's my family comes here for that. So there's a lot of people from all over the place.
Well, Sandy, what was Sunday like?
It was fun.
Saturday was 13,000.
Oh, there was like-
Sunday was 5,000 people is what Marie said.
All right,
That, or Sherry at the chamber,
half or one thing.
half, yeah, and that was, I don't recall, I wasn't out there, so I didn't see any traffic issues.
I had correspondence with my guys throughout the day, and they said, there's a lot of people, but they're like, we're fine.
It's working.
Yep.
It's like the 60s. It was- but
They
no,
opened,
Dude, yeah.
second day, you guys, they had them open both lanes going in and saved, enough room for emergency vehicles to get in and out. We had 2 lanes going into the event instead of just one.
Right.
So that helped speed things up, so there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
And then-
addressed it, and we want them to stay here, and I know that they're kind of, the rodeo board's working really hard with them to keep the event here, but I guess the event promoters were really unhappy, but,
Oh, they were?
Well, what?
I hadn't heard that.
well, this is what Marie Olson was saying, and she's on the rodeo board, that they're working with them, and the fact that they are working with them to keep the event here, they'll do whatever they need, you know, so I think that the rodeo board will be able to gloss over this, that this was just an anomaly. Not only that, but, you know, this big soccer tournament was,
The pass opened?
yeah,
Yeah.
the PAP enclosed, but the
That's one
PAP.
thing.
Yeah. Well, and all it was, and all the parents bringing up their kids too.
Yep, well, one thing to keep in mind too, and we did discuss it on Thursday, is that, this event, the traffic jams and everything, it didn't fall under the responsibility, although it did turn into the responsibility of law enforcement, but it was not at the fault of law enforcement.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
It was just one of those things where,
Yeah.
we'll do a better job next year. They've already, and I know that the event has already started reaching out and trying to reserve people for next year.
Good.
A guy I know from Billings Police Department told me that they had called him for events, security, this, that, and the
Oh,
other,
that's
so they are working on it as far as I know.
Well, I did, hear feedback, from that meeting, that it went really well.
Yeah, I thought so.
But I also heard that, Commissioner Bullock did state that, you know, if the event doesn't have, you know, something like this happens in the future and county resources have to be called out, the event, you know, to the extent, you know, the event organizer can expect a bill from the county.
Yeah,
You know, if they don't have their
correct.
stuff together.
Bucks on the
Yeah.
line, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know, and
Yep.
so honestly, you know,
Same with
we
the
were,
city.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, you know, if rather than try to determine beforehand how much you're gonna charge that type of thing, maybe, you know, we kind of view it the same way the county's doing it, you know,
Yep.
if you have to call in extra people because
Mhm.
they're,
Because they're short.
or their attendees are acting up, or they're, you know, they end up, you know, Chief Stock has to keep someone on call or bring someone in and they have to do overtime, you know, then the city sends a bill after the fact.
Yeah.
When you guys are talking about your event.
Perfect use for the resort tax money.
Yeah. Well, it is to a
It
certain
is.
point, but, you know, like with the county, they don't have the resort tax money, and if they have to, you know, bring in extra sheriffs to direct traffic down by
Sure.
Roberts
Mhm.
and send them up, you know, East Bench Road to get them into town,
That's what I was thinking too.
that's
Is-
really,
An alternate entrance for the event specifically, signed, posted, and traffic directed. Keep them moving, and then keep southbound traffic for the pass, soccer tournaments, everything else kind of opened up.
That could have,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, you know, we talked about stuff too, like shuttle service, maybe the city coordinating with wildlife sanctuary and reserving that parking lot and having
no. It-
lift or
Lift.
carts, that's it, cart or, you know, a bus, you know, facilitated by the event, planners, organizers, what, you
Yeah,
know, just to cut down on it.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that parking lot was full as well.
Was it
because,
really?
Well, they
Oh.
had soccer tournaments were there and baseball tournaments, and
Yeah.
The wildlife sanctuary had an open house and a funeral for Claire-Whitcomb that day.
Well, they were
Good.
parking in the cemetery.
Yeah,
There, yep, that, and, on Airport, and then on Lazy M, all the way down to the cul-de-sac.
Dog leg, that's what I heard.
Yep.
So
People were
is it
walking.
just the parking people that didn't show up? Is that the crux of the
It
problem?
certainly didn't help.
Yeah.
That was the majority of the issue, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because
that's
you're
a simple
stopping the
fix.
line of traffic
yeah.
as you're feeding them in.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure,
when my sister-in-law Jackie went out, she said that there was no parking attendants, and they were just parking wherever they wanted, and
Ah.
so
That's
there were
tied
even
up the
big
parking.
spaces between cars, so,
Sure,
it, you know,
yeah.
they were taking up 2 spots and.
So who's responsible for that?
It was them.
The event. Yeah, so, and I assume that they got
Well, and
a, event permit from us for
They-
using city-owned land.
they did for the parking lot.
So we need to keep an eye on that as well with that event permit.
Yeah, that was something that they discussed, is kind of having a rundown of options for each event that's up there downtown, you know, like this is who you could use, this is who the city, you know,
Yeah.
recommends, and they don't
Well-
have to, but it's just an
Well, and
option.
I just think that, I mean, you and your, I mean, Dave was up there, you guys were up there.
Yeah,
I mean, if we would've had something in our event application that says, should you end up utilizing city resources more than we expect,
yep,
you will get a bill.
yep.
And in
Review
this
it.
case, however many man hours and however many, you know, I mean, they
Yeah.
should have been able to get a bill
Yeah,
for
thankfully, it
that.
was, thankfully, there was Montana Highway Patrol detachment troopers in the area, extra personnel for Red Lodge PD. They were doing a selective traffic enforcement program. So there was a surplus of officers that we would normally have on during that
Right.
time,
Yeah.
which was nice.
So if the Renaissance itself Renaissance people were responsible for parking,
Yeah.
Up there, yeah.
but you
because
said
it's
the
there.
promoters are pissed.
Well, they were
Isn't that the
annoyed.
same people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's,
Their thought is that venue can no longer hold the amount of people that they have coming in. That was what they're saying, is that we've outgrown this venue.
oh,
And we don't want them to think that they've outgrown the venue.
Well, I mean, they had 15,000 people there on Saturday. I don't know how many more people it can hold, you know, without coming
Well,
up
I
with
don't
more places for
With
them
the
to
parking
park.
the way it was, though.
Yeah,
Do
I
we
mean,
know
that's
how
just that,
much-
I mean, they have to.
How many cars can they park in the north?
The mayor outlined it,
Yeah,
and drew a
yeah.
map of where
So-
each car.
So he knows how many cars it could hold?
Yeah.
Now he does, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
After.
good.
Yeah, 'cause he basically, that's what you guys did Saturday, was he came up with a parking plan, so you could get more cars in there.
I like that, and we should supply that to them to make sure.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, like with every event application you can give them.
Yeah, and I understand that the south parking lot was only for the vendors, and maybe they could have organized that better and had some overflow back there as well.
Well, and I also think that, you know, the rodeo uses both entrances
Mhm.
too, and I don't think these people, they just used it for the vendors, not for anyone else.
And honestly, I think it should probably stay that way, simply because the emergency services can get in through the back way, you know.
Well,
So
you
if
just make
needed
sure
to
you-
get into
well,
the
you just-
rodeo grounds, you can
But
go the
on
back
Sunday,
way.
they kept a line open for emergency vehicles to get in and
Yeah.
out. They had 2 lanes coming in and emergency vehicles
Sure.
to get in and out the front way too.
And so that should be also something for the event, that we need to make sure that they understand, that they should always leave.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just, yeah, I mean, there will come a point, I mean, if it keeps growing and growing, where it will outgrow that spot, and they will have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, it,
And they're looking at other venues.
yeah, and I'm sure they are. They, you know, it was, I don't know, I know they outgrew Zoo Montana, and I was kind of shocked at that. I don't know how many people can go there, but
Where?
Zoo Montana, that's where they came from.
Yep.
You're
I
right, they
remember
used to be there.
Yeah.
that. Took my daughter there one year, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
well, I think the shuttle's a great idea. Unfortunately, this was a perfect storm. You had so many things happening on the
Exactly,
same week,
it was,
at the same
yeah.
location.
But I just think really what we need to take out of this is when you're working on that application, make sure that it's put in that application that they're filling it out, and it's a box that they check, that if we end up having to utilize more resources than you know, we've anticipated because of your event, you know, you can expect a bill after the fact.
Yeah.
For those man hours. I mean, it's wonderful in your event, so great, but if you're not they need to be anticipating that. I mean, it happened to us at that one Christmas stroll, we had so many people, you know, and it wasn't really people acting out or anything, but, you know, it was the garbage after the fact.
Sure.
You know, we just had way more, it was like,
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, we should make it perfectly clear, but at the
Yeah.
same time, the parking, that can be so much improved. I
oh,
know
absolutely.
working at the mountain, if we don't have people out there parking, which occasionally
Oh,
we
gosh,
don't,
yeah,
you don't get half the people in there.
absolutely,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that should be the
And,
focus right
and,
there.
and I guess maybe
So
in
the
the,
parking plan.
and
Yeah.
and maybe in the application process, if you're going to have over a certain number of attendees, you don't just rely on volunteers, you have paid staff. You know, because volunteers
May not
show up, and that's what happened.
And
I heard they had
yeah.
six out of 40 volunteers that showed up, or something, I don't know, not like that, on 2 volunteers show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you pay somebody $500 for the weekend, chances are they're gonna show up. You give them just entry into your event and, thank you.
For
you
them
know,
to stand out there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And the event's over.
Yeah, I mean, we can put that in our application, but, you know, we get to what's your volunteers versus your paid staff, how many people are you gonna have, you know, it just,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when the rodeo happens, that the deputies that are up there are not just volunteers, correct? They're paid, so, yeah. So when you get to a certain point, you have to pay people.
Because even Rotary is paid for doing the seating and manning the gates.
Yeah.
For the
The
rodeo. It's really hard
Yeah.
to say Rotary and rodeo and.
But you put on a 20,000 person event, it was over 2 days, and you're charging $20 a ticket.
You can afford a bucket ticket for
Yeah.
paid people.
Yeah. So I just think, you know, those are things that we as a city can address.
Yep.
Yeah.
To make sure, help ensure that those volunteers are actually paid when they show up. And not just paid with an entry
I wonder
fee.
if we should mandate that they have paid employees when you get to a certain crowd, or
I-
threshold, like 5,000, 10,000, you have to have X amount of people, and you gotta provide us documentation that you are paying these people.
Or at least, yeah, for parking,
Yeah.
especially in parking situations,
Because
you
look how
know.
much it hurts here.
Yeah, if you're, you know, with the rodeo, they pay people, this event should have been paying people, because it actually surpassed, or was the same as the 4th of July on that day, you know. Because we'll get, you know, over 10,000 people on the 4th up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they manage to park
Mhm.
in the facility.
Yes,
I mean, honestly, but they use the front and the back parking lot.
right.
So I didn't realize that the rodeo parked 10,000 people there.
Oh, they get 10,000 people on the, looks like
Or through the
10,000
gate.
cars,
Through
but
the
yeah,
gate.
yeah, 10,000 people, yeah, on the 4th, they've hit 10,000 people many times on the 4th for the rodeo.
They're squared away with their parking direction too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I go every year. They're
Oh,
very
yeah.
squared away with it.
Yeah.
When I slink in before everybody else, they always stop me and I'm going, "It's Rotary." I'm going to the back there.
Gotcha.
I know.
No, they're really
Yeah,
good.
so, I mean, those
And they're early.
are the areas that we can help address in our application process for the event,
Yeah.
you know? And maybe if they know that if things, you know, hit the fan, they can expect a nice hefty bill after the fact.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
just
Tom
wonder-
Coots told me that it wasn't a problem for EMS or fire to get out during that because, you know, they would have just stopped traffic. And then there are ways around that
Yeah.
we're familiar with here in town.
Absolutely, I mean, yeah, that's what they do in an accident scene when an ambulance has to get through and traffic's backed up. They stop traffic
Yeah.
so they can go in the other lane.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that,
That-
Tom said that wasn't an
Yeah.
issue.
No, it was just it was the homeowners on that side that couldn't get out, that were really upset more than anything, you know, couldn't get to
On
work.
Brewery Hill.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
Well, if
And-
the promoters are
Chapman
upset,
Lumley's right there.
they need to look at themselves,
all the way up to the
Yeah.
house.
because they're gonna have that problem anywhere they go. You
Yeah.
know, provide parking, it's gonna be chaos.
Yeah, yeah, no matter where they go,
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
You almost have to go north on 212 and go left on the bench and take Zumbrum up to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There are ways.
Well, and
It's
I,
a ways out, but she would've made it, she would've made it home a lot quicker. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
As far as time goes, more
Yeah.
miles, but time.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, and, I do think, I mean, there was a plan, and a few years ago, probably whenever they started talking about the roundabout going in at 2 Mile Bridge, that there would be a bypass there,
Mm-hmm.
going up to 78. And, I think that maybe we need to dig up those plans again.
Well, because MDT does plan to put in a roundabout
They,
there.
oh yeah, they are, but,
That's still planned.
but the whole bypass thing got shut down back then because business owners were worried that, you know.
People would bypass downtown.
Right, but the people that are coming in from 78 and going to Billings, they're not gonna stop in Red Lodge and shop on their way to Billings. I mean, it's not that type of bypass, you know, where
No.
you're bypassing Broadway,
It's not a new,
with an
it's not a new
interstate.
highway.
It's not a new highway, it's just another street to
Yeah.
get to 212 is all it is.
And the roundabout works fine,
Yeah,
99% of the time.
right, but, you know, I mean, it would cut off, if you're coming out from Luther, I mean, it would cut off several miles if you could, you know, come down by the hospital and,
Sure.
you know, and not have to, you know, stop in Red Lodge or whatever.
Yeah, I don't see how they can do that.
I don't know, the plan was there, I think we could dig it out and take a look at it. I mean, I know they'd have to redo it based on the build out of certain areas, but, you know, it was supposed to come down and attach there at 2 Mile.
Really?
Yep. And
Maybe
and-
coming off the spires on the backside.
Yeah, I mean, the spires hadn't been built out at all then, but.
Well, there's a road that goes all the way back,
Willow
really
Creek.
to the bench, but then you would have a pretty steep hill.
That's how you get to, that's the cut across I was talking about, going to 212 from the bench.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, yeah,
Cutting into spires and
Yes.
going all the way down.
yes,
Yeah.
that's Willow Creek.
yeah,
Yeah, starts off Willow
yeah.
Creek.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, I'm not opposed to digging that out and looking at it, because, I mean, it's getting built out all along, you know, Brewery Hill, all those subdivisions are all getting built out, all the way out there. There's only so much traffic one road can take coming into town.
Yeah, Renee's place is subdivided.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, more and more. I
Before,
mean, to plan for the future, you have to look at these
before
things.
Alpine Basin was approved, they had done a traffic study, but they did it like the end of September on a Thursday.
Right.
I know,
Well, and
and I was
it,
assured by the planning department here, that's fine.
well, and you can't just take one subdivision into account. I mean, yes, that would direct.
Home.
Well, I know, but how many homes are at Remington Ranch? How many homes are at the Spires? How many homes are being built out at the golf course? I mean, it's not just one, yes, that subdivision will always directly affect Brewery Hill. But the other ones, I mean, all the way out, Palisades, all the way out.
Oh, all
I
along
mean,
78.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
You can't
Airport
just,
Road was moved. Oh, otherwise, it
Yeah.
used to be right across from where Alpine Basin is now, and they moved it up because it's too close to the top of the hill.
When did they do that? I'm curious.
they lined it up, remember?
When they redid
Yeah.
78,
Yeah,
they
they lined
moved Airport Road up further.
So that was actually a good thing, because if people in this traffic jam knew how to handle a traffic jam, they wouldn't block that intersection, and you could have
Correct.
Yeah.
gone straight across to the golf course instead of having to get on 78 and go up.
It's like when you're in a turn lane and people stop for you, it's really nice.
Was there any discussion about, actually parking some of the cars on the airport, or like where the helicopters come in, or anything like that?
No.
That would be,
You have
an
to-
air question, airport question.
I just
No,
didn't know if that
no.
came up.
As it sits, I
As
don't want to touch
alternate-
anything with the airport.
As alternate
Yeah.
parking for that kind of a,
There's places that I think some of that, you can't park on the helicopter pads and stuff like that, because you never know.
You don't wanna hurt
Yeah,
them.
I mean, yeah. And you don't want people in the restricted area. But there is places on the other side of,
Mhm.
the airport where you could have parked.
the
Outside.
backside of Remington?
No, no, on the east side of
Okay.
the airport, on that other side of the road.
Yeah,
And you could open that area up on the other side of the road, there's quite a bit of parking there, and shuttle people over, like the Mountain does, have a shuttle running from that parking lot over.
One thing that Commissioner Bullock mentioned too, to keep in mind with the airport, if there's people within close proximity of the airport, even if there's people parking there, the worst nightmare is somebody strolling across the runway trying to take a shortcut and a plane landed
Yeah.
on them or through
Oh,
them.
no, yeah, no,
That's
you would
just-
have to keep them out of the fenced area.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even though
We
it's
can't
not
do
fenced.
anything about dumb.
No, but you
A
do.
propeller can.
Yeah.
No, I'm just,
No, I was talking about outside of the fence.
I know exactly,
Yeah,
yeah, I know
yeah,
exactly.
on the east side of the road.
Oh, the east side of the airport road.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot of parking there.
Mhm.
If you needed to, for overflow, you just would, like the mountain does, have a shuttle going
Yep.
and picking people up.
And maybe, I'll get the, plan from the mayor on the parking, and then I'm gonna talk to him about maybe alternate, and so that when we do that event thing, that we can also say some alternate parking areas that you could send people over and park them
With
there.
authorization, yeah,
Yeah.
for, pre-approval.
If we know,
Yeah.
and that, that way, if they have 15,000 next year,
Mhm.
and we have another, 500 cars,
Right,
let's see what we can actually handle.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just, like I say, as you're looking for tweaks to that application, if people know beforehand that, if we have to call in officers to handle your parking, you will get charged.
If your event costs us money, it's gonna cost you
Because
money.
you're not paid to park cars all the time. You're not. It's an expensive parking attendant right there.
It is, it's not the most fun job in the world.
No.
Even though you do a good job.
So,
Do you have any other news or nothing on the, SRO?
Yeah, I went and spoke at the school board last Wednesday? When was June fifth? Was that Wednesday?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I went and spoke at the school board June fifth, and they approved to move forward and begin negotiations with the city. So we'll see if we can find one quarter of that salary somewhere,
So they're agreed to
Okay.
75%?
yes. Well, I mean, they agreed to move forward with negotiations.
Yeah.
I told them what my expectation was, and they weren't upset by mine.
okay,
I think they realize it.
Yeah.
okay.
I
And
think
would
that they
this
need
start
to do that.
this September, or would,
Yeah,
okay,
it would start this upcoming school year, is
Okay.
that is what they're wanting. And there's already people lined up wanting to put in their application for that spot.
Really?
Yeah.
Any of your guys or new people?
There's an external hire that, has shown a lot of interest in it. Nobody internally has shown any interest. Most of the guys currently on the department belong on the street. And even the incoming SRO is well suited for any job, whoever. it may be.
Besides.
Yeah,
Right.
so, yeah. Nobody within the department has shown major interest in it, like, oh, I'm ready to drop my application. So,
And deal with kids all day?
well, I'll threaten some more of my senior guys with it, like, I'll stick you there, but it's,
If you're bad.
yeah. But there are people that have shown, interest externally for when the position starts, and so they're ready to jump on that ball as soon as possible.
Is this something that benefits or doesn't benefit from rotating an SRO? Just as an idea?
No, I want somebody seasoned and well-trained and actually that has had experience in the schools before for that position. It would be, in my vision, it would be a permanent position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no rotating.
No.
So,
Unless if something, like, there was a call for it to rotate somebody out and put somebody else in, whether he's injured, and I have to substitute an officer there. I mean, like arrangements like that, or if he just says, I'm ready to go to patrol, can we rotate me out? And then I would open it up again within the department, and if nobody applied, I would choose somebody.
So no benefit of cross-training, somebody in there part-time,
Oh.
bringing in a new guy, so if something did happen, you've got somebody ready to go.
I have stand-ins that are well suited as a stand-in, but a permanent SRO, they have to go through SRO school.
Mm.
There's additions, I mean, like the person or persons that are interested already are already post-certified.
Oh.
They've already been police officers in the area, so they're looking forward to that. But, you know, if it goes, but, there's additional training on top of everything that they already have.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, it's like a week-long school for policing. And it's not really a lot of policing that happens in the school, but like, you know, kind of a transition from the street to a school, because they're two different environments.
Training on how to handle unhappy parents.
No, the schools are
So-
the kids are, yeah.
So this kind of goes into the next thing, because, the mayor wanted more of an action item where we're directing him. So if, as a committee, I think we can all agree that we appreciate and need the 24/7 coverage in town. So to make this a clear budget item for him, he wants us to draft a resolution to put forward to council to say, we, as mayor, we, council, are directing you to make that happen.
Okay.
We want to maintain our 24/7 coverage right now because we're representing the people. And,
Sure.
you know, from what I heard from people is they want 24/7 coverage. I'm not sure about the rest of you, but if we put that out as a resolution, budget-wise, then he can make that work.
Well, he had said maintain staffing.
24/7, yeah, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day staffing.
Should we also say that the minimum amount of staffing should be 7?
That's what, well, whatever that works out. I mean, in order to have
24-hour coverage.
24-hour
Well, we know
coverage.
we want to maintain 24-hour coverage, we know that, you know, 7 days a week, but should we actually call out the staffing as 7 minimum? Because
That's how I can-
30 years,
That's how I can cover the streets
Yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week with bare bones staff.
Yeah, with a
That's
minimum of 7.
That's the lowest.
But at
of
the
low.
same time, with the school resource officer, if it's going to start in September, we also need to direct him to find that funding for that 25%. So,
and would that be in the resolution?
it would be in the resolution, yes. And, it would be for the mayor to explore opportunities of expanding to include a school resource officer
Mhm.
at the prorated, you know, expense with what the school
Yeah.
is having. So it's council then, I mean, that's our role, is to direct him and say, you know, we want you to do this. So, now, you do have to realize we have to balance the budget, you know, so that's what we're going to hear. But at the same time, when he's deciding to make cuts to balance the budget,
This
we
wouldn't
don't-
be the area that he got.
exactly, that's what it would give that security to our officers and to the
Sure.
chiefs to know that
And our
if he
citizens.
loses an officer and can no longer maintain the 24/7 coverage without that officer, he's still gonna get to hire that next
Yeah.
officer,
Yeah,
is what it boils down
this
to.
is not where we're gonna cut
Cut,
corners.
yeah.
No.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
I'm gonna play around with that.
Okay, do you wanna work on the resolution then, or do you want?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I wanna work on the resolution because I haven't tried one yet,
Okay,
and then I'll give it to
And-
you, and then
okay.
you can fix it.
okay. Well, now we can
So
fix it.
how does that work with an officer that's assigned to a school? If he works Monday through Friday, but what about events on the weekends?
He'd be reserved for the school during the school year.
Okay.
Events and stuff like that no, he's assigned to patrol during the summertime.
But I mean, how many hours? I mean,
40.
But I mean, if he works 40 Monday through Friday and they've got an event Saturday that they need him there.
Yeah.
OT.
Yeah, it's either OT or he will reduce time.
During the week,
During
Yeah.
the week to.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's,
Adjust when you
I mean,
know.
the school's out at 3:30, you know, so he'd probably, you know, on a week that there's events or something like that, he could leave at 4,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
he could work, you know.
Why don't they got a lot of
7:30 to 4.
activity up there?
They do, yeah.
They're a busy little area.
Do you think that the most important times for him to be there is when the kids are coming in and when they're leaving and lunch? Are those the 3 parts of the day that,
In terms of like traffic and stuff,
an
yeah.
FRO, just between traffic and something that might
Activities that might be
happen
happening in the
at
parking
school,
lot.
you know, type of thing?
Right.
So those are the 3 times a day that he definitely has to be there?
Well, I want him, because he's responsible, he or she is responsible for 3 schools. Thankfully, 2 of those schools is connected, or are connected. Yes, it's important, morning, afternoon, and lunchtime.
At least like high school.
Yeah, high school, yeah, for high school, for sure. That's a very important time for the high school, but the number one reason I'm putting an officer in the school is, well, school security and internal and external threats.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's, I mean, like, traffic can be handled by patrol if we need to,
Yeah.
if these guys need to, but that's the biggest reason I'm putting them in our schools, him or her in our schools, is just target hardening and making it a safe place and not a target.
Right. I mean, the school itself has implemented some things, you know, like you
They
have
have.
to,
Yeah.
you can't just walk into the school, you have
I
to,
have
you know. Yeah.
I have too.
Yeah.
Without a uniform.
Yeah.
Have you done anything or been called to do anything about the traffic on what is?
Fifth Street?
Yeah.
Yep.
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 Did we put in no parking or whatever? Obviously, we've all been getting the.
Oh, that's
That-
between the homeowner and the mayor.
Yeah.
I was called regarding the traffic complaints during lunch hour.
Yeah, like blowing stop signs and
Yeah,
passing
yeah.
other vehicles.
And it's funny, because every time it happens, I'll go down there and my truck does not stick out.
Yeah.
I'll park at Napa, I'll back in, and I won't see a thing.
No, of course not.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when I leave, all hell breaks loose, it seems. So, and I do have close communication with both the superintendent and the high school principal. They're aware of it. They have taken corrective action a few times to deal with that issue. They've actually extended their lunch period by a few minutes so people don't have to rush. And then they've, you know, taken matters into their own hands with some issues that need to be dealt with as it relates
Well,
to driving.
Sandy, were you talking about the people at the south end?
Yeah, on Fifth Street, where they come out of the football field.
Yeah,
And it comes down, and they're parking on both sides so that the people can't even get into their
right.
driveway.
And
'Cause
Dave's response was to call the police, wasn't it?
I don't know, that's why I'm
No,
asking
well,
whether.
if their driveway's blocked, yes, you call the
Yeah.
sheriff's office and
But-
say, my driveway's blocked, I can't get into the house, and they call a tow truck and they move it.
And he was trying to
So-
back in, so he needed additional room, but with cars parked on both
There,
sides.
there was literally, 3 track meets in Red Lodge
Yeah.
during the day and only 2 of them, one of them was on a Tuesday where they actually would have been getting deliveries. So it's kind of,
Well, it's gonna be a problem that's ongoing.
well, I guess we need the parking on that street for football games. That's where everyone parks to go to football games, is
So you
along.
can't block, Fifth Street going in on one side?
I wouldn't, then, no, I wouldn't, just to accommodate one homeowner
Well-
on Friday nights, because, you know, I mean, it's a football game. It's like, if you live anywhere in Billings next to a stadium, you're gonna have that same experience.
Well,
You're
that's
not going to cut off parking on one side of a whole street to accommodate one homeowner.
Yeah.
I'm like, if they're blocking her driveway,
It's different.
it's different.
But the mayor is dealing with that issue.
Okay.
They need to move.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but,
Well,
but
It's gonna be a continuous problem.
Exactly, you're not gonna get
But
around
they
it.
built their home across the street from the football
Well, they
There you go.
also,
and a school.
they also have rocks and stuff on city-owned land there
Yeah.
that is blocking, yeah. They also have stuff in the right-of-way that the city owns
Yeah.
that they've taken over.
Because there is no sidewalk there, so people can absolutely, once we get curbs and gutters and sidewalks in there, which I hope that we absolutely do eventually, because kids walk to school there.
Yeah.
You know, that will widen that boulevard and create parking, and the city will be taking back their right of way. So,
But for
that
now,
will probably fix that parking problem, because there will actually be parking along that road. And, you know, who knows when that's, maybe with this new street. thing that we get
Okay.
going. So,
Well, then,
but yeah, it's been, I mean, that's where people have parked for generations,
Yeah.
going to football games.
and that's, I mean, move, it's not gonna change. Either.
We don't say that out. How it does.
I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's why you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't
Well,
want to deal with
just-
us.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
direct the mayor to explore, Red Lodge PD public outreach opportunities.
Right, and so, I guess, there I was talking, you know, we've been trying to figure out, kind of brainstorm public outreach. And I asked him, And what we can do is ask him to, get with the chief and create an actual PR type program. You know, what are the guidelines, when do we do the press release? I mean, you guys probably do some of this already anyway, but just to have, you know, when do we do the, when is it appropriate to do a press release?
Oh, I know,
Yeah, I know you do, but but also, you know, what have in there, you know, like the, ice cream gift certificates, you know, go out to different, I mean, because I would absolutely provide those. Tom Coons probably would too, you know, just things like that. What are good things for public outreach that, you know, to create that
So
program?
you guys have talked before about ride-alongs.
Yeah.
Is that something we could really promote? I mean, you probably don't get much of that, right?
Sometimes, it's normally with our younger generation that wants to do it, we could certainly promote it.
And that would be the gift certificate for a ride-along. I mean, really, honestly.
Could be the greatest or worst
Because it's a
experience of
gift.
their life.
I know.
But it's a gift to them, and because it's a gift, they're thrilled, because,
Yeah.
look, I won a ride-along with the
Yeah.
police, you know.
You know, and it also could be, you know, with the public outreach program, I mean, one thing that, you know, we have the internship at the school. You know, maybe there's some kids that are interested in law
Well,
enforcement.
that's what I spoke with, Mr. Fitzgerald about.
Good.
In the school board, is that, God bless the EMS and fire, they have programs for our youth that wanna take that road to emergency services, and the police department, normally police departments don't have,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a dog was
Is
hurting.
that dog again,
The
remember?
shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, police departments don't have, they have CDAP programs and Explorer programs, but those are normally in major cities. But it would be, that's one of the things that they were talking about instituting in schools. Is,
Yeah, with
kids,
them.
boys and girls that are interested in law enforcement, or, yeah.
When I, stand at the back gate at the rodeo grounds, and we have, the sheriffs, usually you know, the extras. And a lot of the kids, they'll give them like a little sticker type of thing. The kids are thrilled to get those.
Yeah, we have huge rolls of those stickers, we hand those out a lot.
Do you?
Mhm.
Okay. And having the school resource officer will be huge, because the kids that are in grade school and high school are your future police officers.
Yes,
If they grow up with this respect for the police department, is why this public outreach is so important.
yeah, I always tell people that my next encounter for contact with a person or suspect is based on the last encounter they had with law enforcement.
Oh, yeah. The ones that complain the most, the ones that are just arrested.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
oh, yeah.
So,
and that's all we ever hear. So that's why I think it's really important that the police department do a whole all-out PR campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To promote.
and so what he would like us to do is, so that we're not, directing staff by telling them, you
Because
need to
we
do this.
can't.
Right, is to, you know, direct the mayor to explore public outreach options with the chief,
Yeah,
is what he's asking us to do. And we don't have to do a resolution for that, we can just say,
Right.
Mayor,
Mayor, do
do this. Right, and so maybe at our next meeting, if he's here, we can just try to see that.
Yeah, we'll talk
Um,
about that
Yeah,
tonight too,
Yeah.
because I just think it's really, really important.
right. So, and I guess, tonight when you talk, I guess don't, I think we just need to say we use, the Renaissance Fair as an example of ways that we need to, explore ways to help minimize the impact on our emergency services that these big events have,
Yeah.
definitely. You know, because that's what he was saying here, didn't want it to become a big discussion about it. You know, I mean,
No.
like us here, and we didn't,
There's
we
no
did really,
point, there's
yeah,
no point to bitch about
right.
what happened.
Yeah,
It's like, what can we
exactly.
possibly do
don't
to,
trip over stuff in
what
the
can-
rearview mirror.
I know, right, exactly.
what can we do in the future to help with that? And I think that the event, permit process will help. His parking plan is huge.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was well drawn out. that's
Yeah.
good.
Was it?
Yeah.
It would be with
Yeah,
you.
it
Yeah.
was all I still
And-
working on it with the computer stuff.
But not Dave, no,
No,
no.
no.
Did he
Well-
allow for bigger trucks too?
It was well laid out, it made a lot of sense, and then, like I said, we discussed additional options to, like, shuttle service, and
Yeah,
And-
auxiliary parking somewhere with a shuttle. I mean,
Handicap parking too is big, that's something that,
did he have that in his plan?
we didn't really talk too much about that, I just wanna make sure that the events are.
Yeah,
one of their-
Definitely
one of
should
their
have
focuses.
handicap parking.
Yeah.
One of their focuses, yeah, because we do it downtown.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a percentage that we would include, in other words,
In terms of like people, percentage of the
Yeah.
amount of people, I don't know, that's a good question. That's a-
We have really poor
Yeah.
handicap parking here in town, really, really poor.
You know what I noticed
My
too?
husband's on a cane, so he
Yeah.
has the handicap thing, and there's like 3 spots in town.
Well, every corner has one.
I noticed that spouses will use their spouses.
I refuse.
No, not you, not you, but you've seen it.
Yeah.
And I see the,
Oh, I've got a handicap sticker, I can park wherever I want, and
Well, I
that
have a-
handicap person's not even with them.
I have a retired officer, captain, that, sent me a picture. Yeah.
I know, he sends me stuff.
Oh, I know, he's probably got a thread with everyone.
I know, he does, I know.
yeah, so, but I think the events need to consider that handicap too.
Absolutely, I think they have to. So on another great note, I have been monitoring the water flows, and I
Yeah.
had slight moments of panic when it got close to 2,000.
Yes, I saw that.
And we are now down to 1,100.
Yeah, I had an officer,
40.
one of my sergeants on his own time got up yesterday at like 3:30 in the morning, to go down and look, just didn't say anything to anybody.
Just
Yeah,
wanted to see where it was.
oh, yeah,
Wanted to see where it was, to know if he should start calling people out.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was, yeah,
And
and
I
I
had my
was,
patrol guys monitoring it at nighttime too.
yeah, so it was,
yeah.
That
And
was like,
there are some areas that are worse than others simply because
well, last night
the
it
creek bed
was,
has risen, so it's
Yeah.
not so much the flow, it's that the creek bed has risen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when the creek bed is higher,
well, it
2
hit
feet
7,
higher,
yesterday at 4:30, it hit 1910,
yeah.
and it was 7.5 feet.
well, I had to go to Helena
And
yesterday.
it's gonna be 76 today.
But it's 11:40 right now, and it's 7.16, so we're much better. It was more the warm rain that we got yesterday morning.
I had to go to Helena yesterday, and when I left, it was just.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm kidding, but it comes.
And you're going,
well, I'm gonna be like in East Helena, and I'm gonna call and be like, hey.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. Hit the alarm
but
3 times.
that's good news. So our flood alert should expire today, because they had to wait 12 to 24 hours for that rain, after that rain, for it to come down.
Sure.
So unless, we get some thunderstorms, but they're not forecasting
Mhm.
really.
Could be worse.
They
Could be
didn't
in
yesterday
Jacksonville.
morning either.
No, it
They
was,
didn't forecast rain yesterday morning.
I thought it was supposed to rain all day yesterday.
We got like, it stopped mid-morning, didn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah.
It was-
As soon as I got to, Columbus,
It was
I was
fine.
like, yeah, it was gone, it was blue
Yeah.
skies.
They got
I
like
kind
a,
of glanced over.
they said they got like a half
It's all
inch to
black
an
over
inch
here.
on top.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they had to wait until today to take off the
They
alert.
got rain on the top?
Yeah, it was raining up there. They got an inch of rain up on top. That's why the creek went up so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They don't have
it
as much
wasn't warm.
snowpack this year, so that's.
No, they've got a lot up there.
But not as much as usual.
It's just that it's all fresh snow
Yeah,
that went
it's
on the
all
old
light.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's gonna come down fast. That stuff is, you rain
Wet.
on it, it's gonna come down.
It's funny, a decade ago, we would've drove past it and looked like on 17th Street in, Hagen there.
Yeah.
where the Park is, and they're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Now people are a little gun shy, and understandably so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
Oh, yeah.
But I was just very relieved to see it down that far.
Yeah.
And now with the warmer days, we know it can get up to 1,900 and it will hold.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty huge,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, I wonder how much it can handle now that the creek bed has gone up.
Not much more than that, I don't think. It was pretty, I mean, it was creek full at Finn Park.
Yeah, I
and-
was gonna say Finn Park was
And it was
behind.
not a lot left to go at that turnout across from Altana. It had maybe another 6, it was sloped up, but.
Well,
it
I know
wasn't
that,
much
I know
more.
that it hit Rotary Park again, and we're not gonna be putting any more benches or stuff there.
Yeah, yeah, down by the creek,
Yeah, yeah.
Because and it's major flood there now, so
Is
it's,
that what that is?
yeah, so it
I
widens
thought
out.
they were recreating a park for it.
No, it's so it widens out before it hits the bridge, so it slows down and goes underneath the bridge.
Oh, well, okay, well, we
This
talked
is
about putting
engineering
more, or picnic tables there, but we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, no, they did that so it would flood there. Yeah, they wanted it to flood there, that's where it's supposed to go.
I'm glad they wanted that.
Yeah, it's where it's
Because
supposed to
it
run off.
certainly did,
Yeah, that's where it's supposed to,
That's
and you'll
where,
notice
that's where it
that.
reached, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
and you'll notice that at 2 Mile, they also widened it out,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
before it hits the bridge. They deliberately did that. to
Well,
slow
the
it
water
down.
was over the bridge, it goes around the bridge.
Well, there's a whole nother,
There's
yeah,
a culvert there that's always,
it's actually another,
Yeah.
part of Rock Creek there, and they do have a big culvert there for it, but
and there's always water there, so there's
They rerouted it.
people there are kinda used to driving in water.
In 2011, when it really flooded out there, it reopened that path of the creek.
Yeah,
And so anytime we get runoff now, it overflows that culvert at 2
yeah,
Mile.
so there was water,
Used to be the bridge, you know, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
and they didn't know, I'm talking to Jade, who lives on Woodlands,
Uh-huh.
and she was like saying, you know, I don't know if the culvert is full of debris or what, that suddenly the water's, you know, coming back over the side.
No, it just gets full, yeah. It
Yeah.
overflows. They would have to totally rebuild that area, I don't know.
Okay.
The county will do that, or
Yeah.
flooding once a year.
Yeah, we don't want
Yeah.
it.
I'm like.
All right, well, I'm gonna cut this short as long as we've covered everything.
Yeah,
So,
Every group can be
yeah,
shot.
I guess otherwise, yeah, the emergency services thing, you guys can continue to talk about that as our events unfold.
Yeah, well,
With
I
the
have
board
that
and
event
stuff.
application in Word form now.
Okay, you know, and if you
We'll
wanna
find
bring
out a
that to
little
the next meeting, for the public safety part of it,
Okay.
we can,
We'll
to give
do
our,
that part.
to get the chief's input on what we should, or should, you know, include for our, especially our mega events, if that's what you wanna call them.
Mega
Our
event.
super events,
Fourth of July, Iron
I-
Horse.
yeah.
in the sunset.
honestly, yeah. You know, and honestly, Christmas stroll is probably in there with the number
Oh,
of
yeah.
attendees we have
It's just, yeah.
on the
it's
car
just not
show.
as- It's not as, I guess it's just not as loud as all
Yeah.
the other events. You know
Right,
what I mean? It's
and
pretty
people are
super
so,
laid back.
yeah,
It's
it's
down
very,
here, it's not up there, it's down here, and
Yeah.
all of our side streets are filled with cars.
That's
Right.
fine.
but it's still, yeah. And then the car show, I mean, we get a lot of, you know, that has pretty big impact.
Yeah.
No, Summerfest won't be downtown, it'll
It's
be
gonna be at
Roosevelt Center.
Roosevelt for.
And I don't know where they're going to park people. Oh, the
I don't
Roosevelt
think it's
Center,
gonna
but,
be as crazy as
Right.
the real Summerfest.
right, they're not blocking off
Different.
Broadway at all. It's just gonna be there.
I had talked to Sherry briefly about blocking off Broadway, because she could conceivably park cars at angles. And she said, well, people like to drive down and look at the cars, but you drive down and look at the cars, you're not looking at pedestrians. So I'm not really thrilled with that concept.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
I
Yeah,
would much rather,
The worst thing you could probably do is, aside from hitting a person, is ding a hot rod too, because that's not.
yeah, the hot rods are not gonna
I
want.
just,
Yeah.
as far as safety goes, I don't think, according to Sherry, oh, well, the cars can park on the side streets and all that. It's like, no, you're missing the point here, is that people are driving down
Well,
Broadway,
they're
looking at
also-
the cars, not
But
saying,
they're also
they're
driving,
distracted driving.
but they're also driving literally 5 miles an hour up and down Broadway. I mean, it is basically
It would
a
still hurt.
closed street.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just kinda like it the way it is, just,
I've been to so many car
I
shows for so many years.
mean, if we end up getting, we block off all the side streets
Yeah,
on this side, we pay for that, and trying to get people not to, locals, not to park there when we're trying to park classic car vehicles.
Right.
It's really frustrating when we paid $100 for that street,
Oh, yeah.
and they won't, and they just run over the cones and
and
get all
Sherry
mad
said
and
they had
crabby.
150 cars.
No, we had 175.
I think if
You
you
see where
wanna,
I'm going
if you
here?
wanna discover the true essence of human beings, it's directing traffic and parking vehicles.
Yeah, it'd be very.
Because they have a different
We
idea.
shut Highway 308 down a few weeks ago, remember that?
Mhm.
We had 2 patrol cars, like, blocking the entire road with our lights on, and people were still
I'm going home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fine, I'm going home.
Isn't that what happened to that golfer? Was trying to get to his tournament,
Yeah,
and they had blocked off the road, and
yeah,
he went around it.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a gal that during the Renaissance Fair, I think it was Saturday, walked up to one of my officers and was screaming at him, that there's too many people and she needs to get to her second home up here to play golf. I think, and it was Jeff Shipp. That's the smiliest of my officers.
That officer smiled.
No, he's a great guy, but, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't go over really well.
He just rolled his window up and drove away. I think he laughed at it.
Right, good response.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
Sandy, we would get tons of pushback if we tried to close down Broadway during the car show, because people want that access to Broadway. And,
They can't park on Broadway because all the cars are parked there.
no, I know, but that the business owners downtown, there would be a lot of pushback. Anytime you close down Broadway in the middle of summer, even with Summerfest, people were pissed.
And Fourth of July,
Okay.
they
Oh,
make
yeah.
a ton
Oh,
of
yeah.
money
Yeah,
on Fourth of July.
but there you go, I mean,
Would that
there's,
be the same with the car show? They'd make a ton of money.
well, but we don't close down the street for the Fourth of July.
What's the difference between
No.
like,
No, it's for the parade.
what's the difference between like closing the street for an event like the car show and then closing it down for like Christmas stroll? Is it just because it's a designated Broadway event?
Yeah, well, it's also because Christmas Stroll, the businesses are
They all
all,
stay open.
we're the sponsors
I
of
see,
the event,
okay.
and we're staying open, and people are walking around shopping
That
for
makes,
the
that
event.
makes sense.
And, yeah, and that became, it's a pedestrian event where people
Yeah.
are strolling and walking,
That makes,
and it got so big that they didn't have enough room on the sidewalk to
Right.
do the stroll and do the walk. So,
Well, that's
the
my
difference.
point with the car show too, is people have all their chairs on the sidewalk
yeah.
in front of their cars. But we'll talk about that at some other point. Thank you.
yes, thank you very
Once
much.
again,
It was a
Chief.
couple weeks ago.
Yes,
Did you see that?
yeah, you should.
Oh, did I?
Did you ever find that lady's